What is up, Squared Nation? My name is Adrian, and welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. Today, we're going to be doing a Meta Monday video. It's been a while since I've done one of these. We did, over the weekend, have one of our shop championships at Gamer's Edge. And it was a really good turnout. We had about 19 or 20 players, but about 5 rounds. Shout out to the Jersey crew that came up. Graham, Zevi, Brian, Kevin, Danny, Hernan. If I'm forgetting anybody, I apologize, but you know, those guys, you know, they definitely traveled to come up and play Dragon Ball with us. And of course, shout out to the Senzu Bro Cartel, Tristan, Hudson, Kobe, Matt, Alan, Dylan, Nate, Jacob, everybody who pretty much showed up from our regular locals. So we had a really good turnout. Carlos and his boys, obviously Christian and Andres, of course, can't forget you guys. But basically, I wanted to do this video to just kind of go over the tournament. I know it's not like a PPG event or like a major event or anything like that, but there was some interesting trends that I noticed, and I kind of want to give my tournament report. Also, I was running the Skillless Gohan deck, and I kind of wanted to go over that as well. So we're going to start off by unfortunately saying that I didn't do as well as I wanted to. I went 1-4 in the event, which is pretty bad, or 1-3, whatever it was. I only had one win, and it was my round 1 opponent. Shout out to Danny. It was a really great match. It was against Majin Vegeta, and Majin Vegeta is no joke. It was very back and forth. It went down to like the last card, and I was able to pull that one. So that was my round 1. My round 2, I went against Graham, who was playing Bulma. Red Bulma leader, but he was playing with the Gogeta stuff, which I was not expecting. I know that's like a meta deck and people are playing it. I just wasn't expecting to see red like that, and it was pretty, it was pretty rough. I mean, Jiren 3-drop Unison is really strong. That Gogeta chain is really strong. It's just it was rough. I got 2-0'd there. I definitely made some very crucial misplays that I should not have made. Just because I felt frustrated that I couldn't do much, especially since, all my battle cards are pretty much 10Ks, and as soon as they hit the board, they get negged by Jiren. It's just kind of like a feels bad moment. But Graham's a really great player, and he ended up, him and Kevin ended up getting first and second. So if you're gonna lose, might as well lose to somebody who got top cut or whatnot. Round 3 was against Brian, which, even though I did get the loss, it was a fun game playing against Brian. I haven't played against Brian in literally years, so it was fun playing against him. He was playing Garlic Jr. Yes, I lost to Garlic Jr. Please do not sleep on the deck. Garlic Jr., if you have the right cards and you have the right lines of play and you know what you're doing, it could be pretty overwhelming pretty quickly. Brian's a phenomenal player. He always has been. He's got a great mind for just sequencing, and his lines of play were tight. Like, there really was no issues with his lines of play, and I just wasn't able to pull it out. We went to game 3, and I just wasn't able to get that game 3 off of him. Round 4, I played against Tristan, who was playing Gotenks. That deck's just great. I can't really come back from Dormant Potential, just because it just literally shuts off my whole turn because it's KOing my 1-drops. But yeah, Grim Reaper, drawing 2, dual attack, like it's just a really good deck. So that's basically it. I mean, that's my tournament report. As far as the meta is concerned, and the meta and like who showed up, it was top 8. I'm not exactly sure 100% how many of the decks were represented in top 8, but you had Red Bulma, you had Red Broly BR, you had Counter Baby, which is Mono Blue Baby. There's a couple Majin Vegetas in top, Gotenks, and I want to say there was a green Chi-Lai deck in top. I'm not sure if Dylan was able to crack the top 8, but for the most part, you had Red Bulma, Red Broly, Gotenks, Majin Vegeta, and who was the other deck? And Blue Baby. So that was basically like your top cut meta breakdown. There was a lot of variety. There was a lot of green between Gotenks and Majin Vegeta. I was surprised that there were 2 baby players at the tournament. There was an Agents player at the tournament as well. Myself with Skillless, Garlic Jr., Chi-Lai Limo. So there was a good variety of decks, represented. But when you're looking at the top cut, of course, you know, you had your stalwarts at the top with Broly, you know, even Bulma with the Gogeta chain is insane, and then of course Majin Vegeta and Gotenks and stuff like that. So as far as meta relevancy, right? So I myself did not do good, did not do well. So of course I immediately, you know, went home and started reconstructing the deck. I definitely feel like I wasn't playing as optimally as I should. Overwhelm definitely hurts this deck. So if your overwhelm doesn't count, like if it's just like you're just doing it for like spot removal or something like that, I definitely would not recommend playing any overwhelm in this deck unless you're playing a yellow-red variant, because you can play Universe 4 Assemble and bring them back from the warp. But if you're not playing red, I definitely would not play you know, a heavy warp inside. You know, I was playing Secret Identities, I was playing Bardock Fully Unleashed in the side, so it was just a lot of overwhelm, and just getting rid of your drop area and not having, you know, that recursion kind of hurts. I mean, yes, you know, Secret Identity is huge and Fully Unleashed is huge when they come in, but there's no follow-up after that. You're usually not winning the turn that you play those cards, or just kind of clearing pesky, you know, problematic cards off of the board. And for that, you know, you have max power Kamehameha. So in the future, I would probably just forego the overwhelm package unless it's like a game ender, like a Fu Shrouded or like a Mirror Creator Absorbed. Like if I'm gonna go for game, or if I know I'm gonna win that turn and I've already done exactly what I needed to do and that's like my last push, then maybe. But for the most part, max power Kamehameha is really like the only card that you need for spot removal, because everything goes into their chain way before that they should. So I noticed that, you know, heavily against playing most of these decks. You have your Gotenks chain, which Grim Reaper is usually coming down 2 or 3. So he's obviously going to, you know, be a target for max power. You have your Gogeta chain, which basically he comes out turn 3, and then you go up into the 6 drop or the 8 drop. You can max power there. Against Dark Broly, which I think is a really good deck, even though I didn't see any of them, you can max power their 6 drops because they're usually coming down like turn 2. Against Majin Vegeta, the EX Evolve Majin Buu, the dual attack double striker, that card is straight gas. But again, he's coming down turn 2, turn 3, so you can max power him. Granted, they are going to get pieces back, so is Gotenks. But you know, you're removing one of their huge threats off of the board that essentially is like their win con, right? I mean, Majin Vegeta's win con is the Xenobu, unless they're just pressuring with lead. And then, you know, Red's win con is Gogeta, unless they're pressuring with lead, which in Bulma you're not really doing, you're just drawing a crap ton of cards. So max power just answers a lot of the format. Grim Reaper, again, is another one. You know, if you could just answer Grim Reapers and not let them accrue and build up, obviously they're going to get their fusion pieces back, but they can't get Grim Reaper back out of the warp. So if they don't have another one in hand to go into the chain again, they're just going to be swinging at you with like 15k battle cards. And at that point, it's more fair because that's exactly what you're doing also. So, you know, hindsight's 2020. If I were to reassemble my side deck for what I know now, I would definitely just max out on max power, because I feel like that card is so crucial in like 80% of your matchups. I mean, against Garlic, it does have applications, because the 5-drop Garlic Junior, he has Indestructible, but if you have your Unison out, like if you have your Forever in Our Memories out, negating his Indestructible, you can max power him there. So, I mean, it does require a little bit of setup, but there is applications. Max power is just a really good card. So, like if you have any type of you know, reservations about having Overwhelm in your sideboard, max power is something that you definitely want to max out on, because that's gonna address a lot of the issues. Other than that, I didn't run into Blue Baby. Even though they were at the tournament, I didn't perform well enough to get paired up with Blue Baby. I did have the Chi-Chis inside. The other card that I had in sideboard really was just like Haru Haru. Haru Haru came in clutch against the green matchup. Because you're basically just resetting 4 energy. When I was playing against Tristan in my round 4, I did Haru Haru and he did Charismatic Villain, but Charismatic Villain doesn't negate Haru Haru's effect, so I just restood all my energy and continued to go from there. But I was already playing a losing game, so at that point it didn't really matter. So I would probably keep Haru Haru in the side just because it has applications, because green is all over the format right now. Fully Unleashed is really good, but again, you know, like I said, Overwhelm really hurts the deck. The Gohan Videl that I cited, Power Couple, I didn't use it once I didn't really come across any pesky 1-drops I needed to deal with. You know, there was no Black Masseyas. I didn't play against any Kid Qs or anything like that. You know, the barrier cards that untap, you know, when you untap energy, they KO your stuff, or they, you know, make you crit a life and an energy that doesn't really hurt me. So yeah, I would probably, you know, even though it's a nice card because it's a cantrip, I would probably just not even play that. But for the most part, like, the MVPs for the side deck was Max Power and Haru Haru. So I would definitely reconstruct, you know, my deck there. Also, main board, I mean, there's not really much I would change. I would just kind of adjust the ratios a little bit. Shenron is the best secret rare you can play for the deck, just because he comes down and gives you so much value, just being a 1-drop 35k blocker that you can constantly reuse. Nimbus is horrible. Like, Nimbus is just a bad card right now. I'm still playing 2 Nimbus in the next build that I'm working on, and I feel like that's a little bit better. But it's just such a bad card. Like, Nimbus is probably the worst floodgate that you can play right now. It's just so slow. It doesn't hit unisons. It doesn't hit leaders that can restand or can pressure you aggressively. You know, it just sucks. Like, and when people are playing against yellow, they're smart enough to not swing with their leader first, so you don't really get max value out of Nimbus. I would still play 2 in the deck just because you draw so much. Resolving 1 Nimbus might help you, but the negate that really performed really well was Time Magic. I mean, Time Magic just hits so many things. 7-drop Boo in Majin Vegeta, you can hit it with Time Magic so it can't restand. There are 3-drop that is a 30k double striker that when you activate a counter, he restands. If you Time Magic him, because the effect of Time Magic resolves before the pending auto resolves, he won't be able to restand. So that's something to keep in mind too. Time Magic does hit that 3-drop Vegeta, so it could stop another double strike 30k. Gotenks dual attack Grim Reaper, just stop him. There's just a lot of different applications. In the Garlic matchup, the Baby Unison restands a battle card by negging, I think it's like 3 or 4 markers off of it. So being able to Time Magic their critical striker is huge. So Time Magic just had so many applications this weekend, and that's probably the best yellow negate that you can play right now. There's not a lot. Like, yellow got kind of shafted. I mean, even Release from Evil, like, it's a good card, but it just doesn't do enough. Like, yellow got super shafted with their negates. Hopefully in set 12 they get a little bit better negates. I'm looking into some of the stuff from Draft Box 6, like the Super Namekian Giant and stuff like that, but it just doesn't do it for me. Time Magic is solid. It's sparking. You can tap out and play it safely, and then you just kind of get value because you can negate their untap ability to swing again and ignoring barrier. It's just huge. Other than that, I mean, everything else was fine. It's just a ratio thing. So I'll probably have an updated build in the next couple of weeks or so. The deck is really good. I definitely do think the deck is good. It definitely needs to be played a certain way to maximize what the deck wants to do. And I think that was my biggest problem, is I was going away from that, and I was just trying to be cutesy with it. But if you're playing efficiently and the whole purpose of your deck is to spam out 1-drops, you know, you're probably going to be ahead, you know. And I didn't realize how important the 6-drops were for the deck, especially the dual attacker, because of his permanent, giving your guys 5k. That's huge. And I was only playing 1 of the Forever in Our Memories unison, which was a huge mistake, because whenever the first one got cleared, especially in the Bulma matchup, whenever I lost my first unison, I always felt like I needed a second one, and it's great because it shuts off their blocker ability, so that would have made a huge difference for me. Best card in the deck by far is Goku Jr., Vegeta Jr., Saiyan Scions. That card's a staple at 4. That's pretty much it. I mean, the SR from Draft Box 6, the Higher Dragon, or the Icarus Kind Friend, I was only playing 2, and I could definitely see why that card is needed at 4. It's just such a good card. Other than that, everything else is, Champa is good, Cooler, Swift Retaliation Cooler is good. The 1-drop Gohan from Draft Box 6 is really good. So, it didn't go my way. It didn't go the way I wanted it to, but I still think it's a good deck. I mean, you could definitely, experiment with different things. Like, I know a lot of people are playing the Caulifla engine, with the 1-drop, evolving the 4-drop over it for 20k double strike. That's definitely something you can look at. People are experimenting with multicolor, like blue-yellow or blue-red. I'm going to try some red variants, because I was talking to my former teammates, Zevi and Graham, in a group chat, and, they kind of opened me up to look into some red, especially Giovanni too. Actually gave me a couple lists to look at. I just don't know. Like, I gotta try it. I'm so stubborn. Like, want to make this mono yellow because of Krillin, the super combo. But you know, there are some applications as to why multicolor could be good, especially if you're using Zamasu super combos. So I'm gonna experiment with that. But for the most part, I mean, it was a good event. We had a great turnout for Shop Championship. Basically, it's like a glorified local, if you will. And to have 19, 20 guys, you know, at the shop was really good. And just future news, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from in-person events. You know, the COVID restrictions are kind of getting a little bit out of control now. You know, a lot of cases are spiking, and, you know, it's the holiday season. So obviously, you know, it just goes hand in hand with taking a little bit of a break and just kind of spending time with the family and stuff like that. But I had a conversation with my wife, and, you know, she's just not comfortable, you know, especially because I have 3 kids. You know, she's just not comfortable with me putting myself in that type of situation, being in a, you know, in a social setting, you know, with more than X amount of people, which I totally understand. Obviously, my family's health and safety is my number one priority. So I totally agree with her, and that's totally fine. So, you know, I wanted to go out with a bang, but unfortunately I wasn't able to. It was still a good event. It was nice playing. You know, I hadn't played in real life. I hadn't played Dragon Ball at like a tournament in like over 2 weeks because of, you know, just birthdays and prior commitments with like commentary for the 1K and stuff like that. So, but all in all, I was happy with it. You know, I still love this deck. I'm still going to champion this deck. There's definitely some different ways to work around it and just make it more crisp. There's definitely a completely different build for best of ones, so that's something I have to look into as well. But, you know, for me, it's all about having fun, and there's no really like major events that I'm doing, whether it's webcam or traveling or anything like that right now. So it's pretty much just local level, just chill stuff, and you know, just playing some cards with the boys. Now, as far as footage, I wasn't able to get any gameplay footage for the Battle Chamber this week. Because of our COVID regulations, we did have to play with the dividers up on the tables, which is totally fine because obviously everybody's health and safety is very important. But in doing so, I wasn't able to get a good enough camera angle because I don't have an overhead mount to get, you know, the bird's eye view. I have to get it like from an angle, and the divider was just in the way, and it was just a nightmare. So I do apologize that there's probably not going to be any battle chambers on the channel for a little bit. I have to figure out a way how I'm going to get gameplay now, especially since I'm not going to in-person events for a little bit. So maybe I'll just do some untapped stuff, or maybe I'll try and see if I can get some games recorded and get them, you know, out to you guys, because I know that's one of the more popular things on the channel here is the battle chambers. But I definitely kind of wanted to just give out my tournament report and just go over what's in the meta right now. There's definitely some discussions that need to be had with some certain cards and some certain interactions, but, you know, that's definitely something else we can talk about in a future video. But you know, other than that, it went well. You know, I think all in all, it's okay. I mean, it's okay to lose. It's not that serious. We're just playing, you know, glorified cardboard with some fancy art on it. But, you know, it sucks to lose, but at the same time, I had fun losing because I got to play with, you know, some of my former teammates who I hadn't played against in a long time, and, you know, just seeing everybody having a good time and stuff like that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you're having success with this deck, please, you know, share your tips and knowledge with me. I want to try to. This is the deck I'm going to be playing until set 12 comes out. Like, I'm convinced. I'm 100% convinced. This is the deck I'm going to be playing until set 12 comes out. You know, and even if set 12 has something that supports this deck, or, you know, I might even continue to play it. So who knows? But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Like I said earlier, let's open this up for discussion. Thank you guys so much for the support. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.